Okay, today we're going to do our first lesson on singing Nhemamusasa. Nhemamusasa is an old song that has been sung in many, many different ways. So if you listen, if you check the recordings that are available, some have just labeled it Nhemamusasa, but there are others who've sung it as Anjadzi Yamai Wako Zvaisingarimi. Some have sung it as Andina Mwana Anoita Rombe. People like Pio Macheka did it as Karinga Wangu. People have sung it as Makuerere. And others have composed their own lyrics and named the song after the lyrics that they composed. So there are 100 ways, 100 different ways of singing Nhemamusasa. That is something that you have to take note of. And then the second thing is that, and this is something that we haven't discussed yet, the structure of Nhemamusasa is similar, or there are other songs that share the structure with Nhemamusasa. These are songs such as Maororo and Karigamombe, also the Bangiza family of songs. And therefore you find that some of the lyrics like Anjadzi are sung also to the Maororo songs. You can sing Mauya Mauya to Nemakonde to Bangiza. So there is crossover, there is sharing of the lyrics between many songs that share the structure with Nhemamusasa. But for purposes of starting the singing, what I can show you is where to place, just the most basic lyrics of Nhemamusasa. And for us, we're approaching this as Mbira players, and so what is important is to note where in the Mbira cycle you place the Nhemamusasa, and I'm going to teach just the basics. So the first part of the lyrics is just singing, the song, the word Nhemamusasa, and you go Nhemamusasa, 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 Nhemamusasa. So you do it 4 times, and each time that you sing corresponds to one of the 4 phrases of the song. So the song has 4 phrases to make a complete cycle. And so what we want to do is to be able to place that Nhemamusasa within each of the phrases. And that is fairly simple. Now, so for the Mbira part, you play what you are capable of playing. If you are a beginner, you can even play or the part that incorporates the basses. But if you've learned the netetes and the basses, what I'm going to be using is, but I'm explaining this, so that if you are not yet strong on the Mbira part, you play as basic a part as possible. It doesn't matter. I'll just indicate where you place the Nhemamusasa lyric. So you play, when you play this note, indicating the end of the first part, the first half of the first phrase. So the phrase is, we've split the phrase into 2. So when you play, so this note here indicating the end of the first part, first half of the first phrase, that's where you start singing. Then you go Nhemamusasa, and then and then when you go to the second phrase, when you play this note, then you do again Nhemamusasa. So even the way I say Nhemamusasa, the pitch is going up just a little bit, because that's how the Mbira is progressing. When you do the third phrase, Nhemamusasa. So it is at this point, and then the last phrase, Nhemamusasa. So let me try it. But when you try it, you don't have to do it for all 4 phrases. You can do it just for the first and the third phrase, or the second and the fourth phrase. And as you get comfortable, then you do it for all the phrases. So let me play one cycle instrumental, and then when I get into the second cycle in the first phrase there, then I start singing Nhemamusasa song. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa. So this is the most basic part, just where to place the Nhemamusasa word in each phrase. And it said when you play this note, so that's where you start singing Nhemamusasa. So once you can do it, this part, on the second phrase, then you can add a few more words, and it's Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. So you would do the first phrase Nhemamusasa, and then the second phrase Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. So the first phrase we haven't changed, we are going Nhemamusasa. And then the second phrase we start again with Nhemamusasa, but when you get there, that's when you start singing Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. So this is it. One, you sing just Nhemamusasa 4 times for the 4 phrases. Nhemamusasa, 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 Nhemamusasa. And then you introduce a few more words. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. And then that takes you to the completion of the cycle, and you wait for the first phrase again. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. Let me do it again. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. Nhemamusasa, 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 Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. So this is the first part, just singing the word Nhemamusasa. Now the second part that I want to do is there's a part that goes Pereka, 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 Mvura mkaranga. And this part you start singing Pereka when you start the cycle. So you go Pereka right there when you start the song, and then each Pereka takes 1/3. It takes 1/3 of the phrase. Let me see. Pereka, Pereka, Pereka. Let me go the full cycle and then sing the Pereka. So in fact the way you go Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa karingezuva namo ichauya. Pereka, 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 Mbura mkarangai. So when you do the Pereka, the place you start right where the phrase starts. And then you go Pereka for the 1/3, and then another Pereka goes with this part, second third of the phrase. Pereka. So when you do it for the first phrase, you do it for the second phrase, and then on the third phrase you do Pereka here, you do Pereka here, and then you go Mvura mkaranga to finish up the third phrase as well as the last phrase. So when you count, you are going to sing Pereka, 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 Mvura mkaranga. The Perekas are 8 of them. 3 for the first phrase, 3 for the second phrase, and 2 for the third phrase. Then you finish it off with Mvura mkaranga. So let me do it again, but I'll start with Nhemamusasa so that we get to the Pereka. The Pereka is kind of in addition to singing the Nhemamusasa part. So Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa, karinge zuva namo ichauya. Pereka, 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 Mbura mkaranga iwe. Iwe Nhemamusasa, 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 karinge zuva namo ichauya. Pereka, 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 Mbura mkaranga iwe. Iwe Nhemamusasa, 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 Nhemamusasa. So this is it. So this is just a way of introducing the singing. We know what phrase we're playing. When you get to this note, then you start singing Nhemamusasa. So you learn that part, you sing Nhemamusasa 4 times, each time to correspond to one of the phrases, but starting there in the middle part of each phrase, Nhemamusasa, and you do it for all the phrases. And then the second part is, if you do Nhemamusasa, the first phrase, sing Nhemamusasa. But for the second part, then you add a few more words. Nhemamusasa, karinge zuva namo ichauya. And these words take you to complete the whole cycle. And you come back to the first phrase again to Nhemamusasa. So that's the second part. And then the third part is Pereka, 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 and you do Pereka 8 times. And each Pereka corresponds with 1/3 of the phrase. So there are 3 Perekas for the first phrase. And then for the second phrase, there are also 3. So we are now at 6. For the third phrase, so you do Pereka, Pereka, that's 2. So it's 3 plus 3 plus 2, we're at 8. And then you complete that sentence with Mvura mkaranga, that goes into the last phrase. So these are the 3 parts. Let me do them one last time, just to make sure we all got them. Nhemamusasa, 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 karinge zuva namo ichauya. Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa, karinge zuva namo ichauya. Pereka, 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 Mbura mkaranga iwe. Iwe Nhemamusasa, Nhemamusasa, karinge zuva namo ichauya yo. Pereka, 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 Mbura mkaranga iwe. So that is it. These are the singing parts that we want to introduce singing Nhemamusasa. Now, once you are at this stage, the people who've composed or arranged, made their own arrangements of Nhemamusasa. If you're a good singer, you can do it whichever way you can. But if you are starting out, then you can now start substituting. So we are going Nhemamusasa. So you can look for words that have about the same number of syllables or same length. And so instead of Nhemamusasa, you can start singing Mudiwa wangu. sekuru wangu. That is how people make their own arrangements. And mauya, mauya, you choose something that is the same number of syllables or approximately the same length, and you place exactly where you've been singing Nhemamusasa. And then where you go Nhemamusasa karingezua, then you can now put in your own sentence, to go with mdiwa wangu or sekuru wangu or mkoma avo, and that's how you start making your own arrangements. And similarly, where you go Pereka, 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 then you can choose something that is short, that you can do in 1/3 of a phrase and repeat it throughout the cycle. So that's one thing with getting to your own arrangements from the basics. Now the second thing is that some people, some of us can sing while playing the mbira. For some, it is difficult to play the mbira and sing, and therefore you would have to do it with somebody else. If that somebody is a natural singer, that's well and fine. If they are not, you, the mbira player, is the one who will give them cues on where to start singing. So this comes to the issue of styles of play. So because this is where you want the person to sing, you would have to accentuate, maybe play this note very loud, to try and say this is where you're supposed to come in singing. So you're playing it loud. Sometimes that's insufficient. You may have to change the style of play a little. So now I'm playing this simultaneous, and then I continue. But I am doing this to mark the point where they should sing. If you get to the point where you can double some notes, you can go. So when I do this, I'm now marking the lyrics, for example, Pereka, that they start right at the beginning of the phrase. But the issues of different styles of play, and if you listen to the different versions, you start understanding that, some of the things that were played by the mbira player were actually cues, to assist the person that is going to sing. I've been taught, for example, by Beza Umakombe, the song Amaive Mwana, and the way they play the Nhemamusasa Kushaura, they do just something fancy, and it marks exactly where the singing should go. Now, I don't know whether Mkanya needs that, or, it has just developed that you are marking at least the point where somebody should be singing. So I think this is fine for today's lesson. Number one, Nhemamusasa, there are many different ways, 100 ways to sing Nhemamusasa. What I'm doing is just showing you where to introduce the word Nhemamusasa into the cycle of the mbira. Add a few more words, Nhemamusasa karingezua namoichauya, that's 2. And then the third one, Pereka, Pereka, mvura mkaranga. So these are basic lyrics to Nhemamusasa. And then the third thing is marking. Is marking where the lyrics go by changing the mbira playing style, by doubling, or by making sure the point at which somebody starts singing becomes very loud. And once you have that, then you can start making your own arrangements, start substituting the word Nhemamusasa. And you will understand, some people sing makuwerere. You just place that makuwerere where you would otherwise have sung Nhemamusasa. Or mdiwa wangu, then you compose some love song based on Nhemamusasa. So for today, I think that's it. Thank you.